What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is the biographical dramedy film I, Tonya. Directed by Craig Gillespie, I, Tonya accounts the life story of figure skater Tonya Harding, played in this film by Margot Robbie. The film follows the growth of Tonya all the way from her childhood to her years as a professional figure skater in the 80s and early 90s. The story dramatizes her rough childhood upbringing, her difficult romantic life, and eventually her checkered past in the sport of figure skating. As Tonya becomes a more successful skater, her problems only seem to increase both professionally and personally. Alright, so I've been meaning to review I, Tonya for a while now. I actually saw it for the first time a little while back, right before I started constructing the WillFoxification Movie Awards. And since then, I actually saw it again because it came to another theater close to me. So needless to say, if I saw this movie twice, then you know I really enjoyed it. And if you watched the WillFoxification Movie Awards, which I know a lot of you did, then you know that I showered it with lots of praise. I think I, Tonya is definitely the best comedy film of 2017, and one of the best films of 2017 period. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But the biggest one has to be the acting. I think both Margot Robbie and Allison Janney are both sensational here. If it were up to me, I'd give them both Oscars, but I doubt the Academy will do that because they like to diversify their winners from several different films. I've always liked Margot Robbie. I think she's a very good actress, but this has to be the strongest work of her career thus far. This was actually my favorite leading actress performance from 2017 for a couple different reasons. The first reason is that she plays a version of Tonya Harding that I don't think the vast majority of people are familiar with. She still retains that rugged exterior, I would say, like the real Tonya Harding, but the more intimate moments we spend with the film's version of Tonya show you more of her vulnerability and her vulnerable side in general. I thought Margot Robbie excelled at pretty much everything centered around the themes of vulnerability and misconception. But honestly, she actually did a really great job with the more comedic elements as well. This is just, a really well-rounded performance. And I think the same can be said for Allison Janney, who I think is pretty much a shoo-in for the Best Supporting Actress Oscar. I feel as comfortable in predicting her victory as I did in predicting Mahershala Ali's victory for Moonlight back in 2016. What's interesting about that comparison, though, is that they're probably in the respective films a similar amount of time, I'd say. Allison Janney plays Tonya's mother, and she shows up mostly in the early stages of the film, but she sure makes use of her screen time by basically dominating every scene she's in. Her character is pretty awful and pretty ruthless, I'd say, but at the same time very captivating. Like I said, this is the best supporting actress performance of 2017, and that's hands down for me. So yes, the acting is probably the best thing I, Tonya has going for it, but something else I really loved about it was that it manages to be hilarious in the most dysfunctional way possible. There's a lot about this story that's very serious, yet at the same time there's also a lot about it that's so ridiculous that it becomes humorous. Part of the fun of I, Tonya is just that, the fun. It's another one of those films that you're probably going to feel uncomfortable laughing at, during certain scenes at least, because it'll seem so far-fetched to everyone who lived a relatively normal childhood and just so dysfunctional in general. I, Tonya takes a Deadpool approach at times as well. The characters will acknowledge that they're in a movie, and they'll look into the camera and break the fourth wall as they're cracking some sort of joke. I love this because this is the type of stylistic decision that gives the film a unique identity, and that identity suits what this story is. It also lends itself well to the sort of, I guess I'd say, documentary vibe that you can occasionally get when the characters are being interviewed about what actually happened. This approach comes across as bold, and I found myself valuing that quite a bit. But sort of like I said in my review of The Disaster Artist, I would characterize I, Tonya as a drama first and a comedy second. It still has plenty of comedy to offer like I mentioned, but I think the drama and the acting is what hooks you the most. As someone who didn't know a lot about Tonya Harding before watching the film, I think I, like many others, assumed she was a very controversial, possibly even nefarious figure. And I don't claim to know how accurate I, Tonya's depiction of her is, but I do know that the movie does a great job of humanizing her and allowing you to see her side of the story. She had a very rough upbringing and a very difficult family life in general. And while I didn't always think she made the best decisions, I think most people will feel for her when watching this movie. Because Margot Robbie's depiction of Tonya Harding feels genuine. It feels like a person who's trying to please a lot of different people at once, which is something I think a lot of us could probably relate to. Ultimately, I, Tonya is a very self-aware, very dramatic, yet very funny movie with a lot going for it. But there is one flaw in it, and it was sort of unavoidable if I'm being honest. This is a movie about figure skating, and the actors aren't professional figure skaters, and they're definitely not as good at it as Tonya Harding was. So in order to pull off the more difficult skating routines that are vital parts of the story, I'd say, the filmmakers had to get a real skater to do the routine and then transpose Margot Robbie's face on that skater. And this definitely looks awkward most of the time. This is something I noticed both times I watched the film. It just looks off. You can tell there's some digital maneuvering going on. As for the pros cons rundown, I thought I, Tonya had stellar acting, especially from Margot Robbie and Allison Janney, a very self-aware and awkward sense of humor, strong character development, and very well-written dialogue. As for the cons, some of the CGI skating was a bit awkward looking, but that's it honestly. I'm gonna give I, Tonya a 9.5 out of 10, and definitely recommend you check this one out if you can still catch it in theaters. I'd say anyone who enjoys quality drama and some good laughs will enjoy this one. Adults only though, don't take your kid to this one please. So did you guys see I, Tonya yet? What did you think of it? And if not, let me know why not. I also want to let you guys know that I have a review of The Florida Project coming soon. It's been on my list for a while now, and that review will be out probably early next week. And finally, if you didn't notice already, I actually did our first live stream on Wednesday night. I plan to do these every Wednesday night around 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, I'd say. I know this is late for a lot of you guys outside the US, so I'm going to plan on doing a Sunday morning one as well. Probably 11 a.m. Eastern time, somewhere around there. If that will work better for you guys, let me know so I can plan on doing that as well. Let me know what you'd like to see on the show, who you'd like to see on the show, and what you'd like me to discuss as well. And also, when you're on the show, feel free to comment with me and ask questions and all those things. But either way, that's all for now. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.